You guys all good? Good. Yeah, you took down our clock, David, and I can't tell when to start the meeting, so. No, we appreciate everyone being here. Thank you for accommodating our July schedule. We have our municipal association next week and vacations, and it gets a little crazy in the month of July, so we're going to squish our meetings together. So I call to order the City of Travelers Rest Council Committee meeting Thursday, July 10th, 5 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock we'll have our regular council meeting. So we will kick us off with our Public Works Committee. Chair Lane.
I call the Public Works Committee to order. Present are myself, Lisa Lane, Catherine James, and Sherry Mara. Do I have a motion to approve the June 9th Public Works minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Director Tate, it's on you.
Good evening. Just a couple of highlights here. It is included in your summary on your report. The glass recycling event on June 14th. We collected over 10,000 pounds of glass.
Wow.
And had over 100 cars come through. So that by far exceeds any other glass recycling event. The screening around the recycled dumpsters over on the other side of the park that's been completed. And we've done some renovations over at the restrooms, installed new panels, new toilets over there, and done some painting. We have some more painting scheduled for next week on the exterior of the building over there. So I'll be glad to take any questions.
First of all, I would love to say thank you all to all staff in the Public Works Department, the police, the fire, everyone. The drone show was phenomenal. Thank you.
It was, yeah.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
And Beth for writing it, and it was amazing to see and experience. So thank you for that. Does anybody on committee have any questions for Director Tate?
I do. I have gotten many questions about the glass recycling. Are we going to be able to maybe in the future have a regular cadence of those? And people are asking about the next one.
We are currently in discussion to kind of maybe get a plan going forward. We're not sure how that's going to pan out at the end, but as soon as we get that nailed down, we'll put that out there.
That's great. I think people really like it.
Agree.
Thank you.
We talked about the zip line last time. It was being repaired. Is that complete? If I had a small child, I would know this. And or if not, is it close? I've heard some comments that, about it being broken, which we knew.
And both of them are.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
they did remove it because there was an equipment failure on one of them, and they went ahead and pulled both of them.
Right, makes sense.
Due to the nature of the defect there. I did have a conversation week before last with Greenville County Rec, and they were in the process of dealing with the manufacturer on that and trying to get that part replaced. I will follow up next week with them and see kind of where that stands, but I'm sure it's the lead time of the product.
Is that something that we install and put back together, or is that through the company, the manufacturer?
That is going to be handled currently through Greenville County, and I don't know if they will send it to them or if they will they will send a rep from the company
Right.
out
Okay.
here.
Thank you.
Yep.
The bathrooms look great too, so thank you all for doing that. And the rabbit pictures that you sent in the reports, I love that with you all. So thank you for that. Poinsett project, where are we at? Can you give an update? Please?
They're currently working on the northbound lane on the west side of Tubbs Mountain. That's the one on the Chicora Alley side. They will be working to pave that lane. They are scheduled mid to late week next week. They'll also be paving the right turn onto Tubbs Mountain Extension at the same time, just due to timing and the logistics, how that's worked out. So they'll be paving that turning lane to turn on to Tubbs Mountain Extension going north.
Does anyone on council have any questions?
I do. I've had some parents ask about if we could have a splash pad in Trailblazer Park. So what's the process of exploring that option, or is that something that we've talked about already?
I guess that would be something we definitely could look into, and I would ask.
Councilmember Chris, we could look into that for sure. Splash pads are
more complicated than one would think. Because they are recycled water, they require DHEC regulations the same as a swimming pool does. And so it's a significant maintenance upkeep. It doesn't appear to be, but it is, in fact, has to be pool regulated standards.
I wonder if we could do it as part of our master plan when we do the parks, where to put one.
Yes.
How's the liability on this? Is it pretty steep liability?
Well, obviously, with any amount of water, there is a drowning opportunity. And so you do take on liabilities for that. I mean, they can be successful in cities. We certainly have seen that happen, but you are talking about a liability and a maintenance expense that we would want to be ready for and prepared for.
If you give me a second, Wayne, I've designed several of these and taken them through DHEC. So they are public waters, and because they are public waters, you have to meet certain standards. It has to be fenced, enclosures, things like that. And so once you meet those things, the liability, it is what it is. It has met the liability requirements for SCDHEC and everything else. On putting a water splash pad in, there's one down in Columbia, down in the Chapin area, that functions very well, but it's drawing off of a lake and returning the water to the lake. So they don't have to treat it. That's the best way to do it. We don't have a lot of waters we can pull from here in Travelers Rest. And you don't want to pull from public water and then return to waste, because that becomes very expensive. So you want to circulate it. And so they have specific turnover rates and that sort of thing, and you have to use filtration. They're using UV, things like that, and they just kind of get pricey quick, but they are very beneficial. They're very well used in Greenville County as well, so.
Thank you. Maybe we just need 4 zip lines. No.
Just put a sprinkler out there.
I was gonna say, we can't get a hose pipe?
Just put it, yeah.
Not cool. Okay, that's fine.
Questions?
Yeah, I do. Philip, I don't know if this falls under you, but I'll hit you up with it. I know you know who to call. Recently with all the weather, all the wind and stuff, there's been several power outages. And it was brought to my attention today, like the last 2 were pretty much in one neighborhood. And I was just curious, have we been in contact with Duke about grid improvement, or yeah, you can answer that too. There seems to be an issue like in one particular area with power going out. And I don't know if it's because, and there's quite a bit of growth in that area as well. Is that a possibility that the grid could be getting its potential?
Yeah,
We need to look at that.
There's a lot of proactive undergrounding going on in higher outage-prone areas. So it could be that we could talk with Linda and others at Duke to maybe target that area.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it is coming, and from what I understand, from the way the grids run or have run, some of it is coming from out of the city, you know, into the city.
Yeah.
And the area I'm talking about is in particular, it hadn't affected us, and you know, I'm right off of Tubbs Mountain, but the Tubbs Mountain area seems to be getting hit hard with power outages.
Yeah, I guess it's a question of, is it weather storm related, or is it capacity related? And those are two very.
And I mean, I guess it shows from the 1-800 Power On thing where the locations are.
Well, and
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Duke Energy sent out a notice that they're doing some tree repairs and work. Where is that being located? Do we know? I didn't look, sorry.
I know that they've been trimming along Old Buncombe and back towards Main Street. They have been hitting that area there pretty hard. Councilman McCall there, I know last week, I think they had a tree down in the 300 block of Tubbs
did.
Mountain.
They did
that,
right at
you know,
Hillside.
would have caused that. And I don't know if they're moving that way, or, you know, we can definitely look into that.
Yeah.
We're glad to.
It's just been, you know,
Yeah.
kind of spotty. I mean, it might be just coincidence. It probably is more than anything else, but I mean, you know, the grid is, I'm sure the grid's a lot heavier than it was.
It is.
Several years ago, so.
10 years ago.
I will say with that email, there's a link, and kind of like when you can go to 1-800 Power On or on their website, on that site also is where they are currently trimming trees, and they are in the city of TR. And they were going to put
The
like
outages, all the outages have been?
the trimming of the trees.
Oh, okay, I
Like, we
gotcha.
did not lose power, but they're in our area of the city. So I don't know if they're working their way, if there's a way for us to contact them, if there's a problem, to check it out. But on the website, it does show where they're going.
Yeah, well, they're on Duncan Road today. It had Duncan Road closed off in the city.
Any other questions?
Good.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. All right, Public Safety Committee, we have, is that you, Brantley?
That'll be
Okay.
me.
Co-Chair Brantley Vest.
All right, call to order Public Safety Committee meeting for July. Present are myself, Brantley Best, Sherry Mara, Wayne McCall, and Dr. Shanice Chris. I'm looking for a motion to approve our minutes from both June 9 and May 5.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, review of the June public safety reports from the police department.
Councilmember Vest, apologies, but we do have an error on the agenda, and so the May 5th minutes are listed, unfortunately, under the Planning and Development Committee, so we probably need a motion to amend the agenda to put those under public safety.
And that's been previously approved, and that it should just be scratched? Okay, got it.
No, sir, I apologize, I was confused. Yes, okay.
That's right?
Motion to amend.
So yeah. So we've already approved the May 5 minutes, so we will amend, we'll amend the agenda. Take that off. Thank you. All
Good
right.
evening. How's everyone?
Good.
Would like to bring up one highlight on the report. It's not often we can bring this up, but if you look there for a Walmart shoplifting arrest, we had 0 in the month of June. I would like to be able to say that's our wonderful police work that did that. But from my understanding, maybe they're going through some changes at Walmart and some employees over there, whatnot. So, but I like to see it decreasing. So that's a good thing. Any other questions about the report I can answer?
Questions from the committee? Questions from council?
I do have, I'd like to introduce you to our newly promoted Lieutenant Brandon Donnelly. Come on up, Brandon. He was promoted July 1st, and he is taking on the role of training officer.
Cool.
He's going to speak to you for just a couple of minutes and tell you the direction this is going so we can improve our advanced training for the department.
Council. Start off by saying I'm very excited to take over this position. We've already started making our FTO process more robust in a digital capacity. We're really moving forward to my first mandate when I got promoted was everybody's going to do a career development form, which is going to highlight different trainings that they want to go to, find their niche per se. That way we can get officers interested going to the training that they're interested in going into. We can open up more specialized units, possibly cross-train with other agencies, kind of trying to bring other agencies in and, kind of making that bond with other agencies. We're also going to be submitting training hours monthly on the report. That way you guys can see the improvement in hours and see that we're holding to it.
Very cool. Congrats. Congratulations.
I was just going to ask the license plate readers, the cameras, how are those going? Are they catching?
I want to say one day we had a couple of officers on Main Street, and they pulled over and issued 14 tickets in about 2 hours for suspended license plates.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Okay.
And what that does is it gets them to go and fix that and gets tax money and fix, correct behavior, not just to write tickets and get ticket money. It's corrects behavior. So, and that's not the only thing. We also get alerts for wanted individuals. Those are sent out by dispatch when we get those alerts. So they are very helpful. They've been tremendous. Stolen vehicles as well, they've alerted us to. Lots of great things from that. So I'm very excited about that. Officers are very excited about that.
Thank you.
Was it 2 that we have?
Let's see, we have 2 on, we have 6 or 7 stationary, and we have 2 on the speed trailer.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Do you-
Those 2 on the speed trailer are the ones that, they were alerting the officers, and they were sitting at different ends of the city.
Gotcha.
And it tells the description, we pull it, we verify the tag, pull them over, and give them the ticket for that.
Do you have them like for like neighborhoods and things like that, like where private property owners, like in the future to possibly have more cameras in other locations?
Yes, there's actually Flock, the company called Flock has an agreement or the ability for homeowners associations to buy their own. So we actually have 2 more I didn't mention at Brookside Point. And those 2, Brookside Point pays for those every year, and they give us access to them.
Okay, and how much does that cost? Do you know?
Flock charges $3,000 per year per camera.
Camera, okay.
And that's so they will fix it, they'll install it. It's basically a permanent lease is kind of how it operates. So we never truly own it, but the data we own.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
Chief. Fire Department. Hey there.
I guess first off, any questions on reports? Look, we had about 80 calls last month. Of course, there's a high percentage of them that's EMS calls. Stick out there, anybody, anything? I do have 2 new employees here tonight. Ashton, stand up first. Ashton Osborne, he comes to us from Parker District. He just started this week. He's doing an 8 to 5 this week, and then he goes on shift the first of next week. Aaron Smith is the other one. Aaron's actually been with us about 2 months. He came to us from Lawrence County EMS and from Tigerville Fire. So we're excited about both of those there. New guys that's going to help us out. So
Welcome.
Welcome.
Good to have you.
let's see if I got anything else in here. Reports. Oh, well, thank you to council about the, for the budget. I know everybody, this whole crew over here worked herself to death getting it together, but, I think we got a good budget. Ours looks good. We appreciate everything that we can try to accomplish with what we get. So thank you. We did pick up, I mentioned last month about the Fire Safe South Carolina thing. We're in that again this year, and we actually picked up our stuff at the convention. So it'll go on the wall down here with the others in the front lobby if you're down that way. And that's about all I have, unless y'all got questions.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone on the committee have questions for Chief? Anyone on council? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Building Department or Municipal Court, anything there?
Councilmember Vest, thank you very much. Just a slight slowdown in June, probably the hot weather and people being out on the pulling of the permits, but residential is well underway. We have a robust platform there, and it did have one small commercial project underway.
Yeah. Anything from the committee regarding Building Department or Municipal Court? Okay. Anyone on council have anything?
I'm curious about the Pine Stone commercial, more like the food core area. How's that going, or just in general, is they just kind of doing some infrastructure pieces to it?
Might let Jay speak to that, because I know he's had some discussion with the Pine Stone team
I was
there.
just curious to update.
So at this point, they're just working through the grading of the site and the implementation of everything to the outside. That should open up the opportunities so people can see what's going on, and then they'll pick up on being able to lease the space.
They're not working inside the buildings, they're just doing the outside for right now?
That's right.
Okay, gotcha, great, thank you.
Jay, do we have an idea of how many things can go in there, or does it depend on
It
they
would
choose a size?
Yeah, I think it would depend on the size for each user that's inside. It'll be like a shell, and you're doing upfits inside there. So it'll be dependent on how those work out. I don't know that they have a specific number.
Thank you.
All right, if no other questions, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Thank you.
Might as well come back, Jay.
Yeah, come on back.
All right, Planning and Development Committee, Chair Vest.
Okay, call to order the Planning and Development Committee for July. That is why I think I don't have the right. Looking for a motion to approve the June 9 minutes.
Motion to approve.
Okay, review of the June Planning and Development Report.
We need
So July,
a second
sorry.
for that motion.
Second.
So at the top of the report, in the entitlement process, two of those we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Brantley are the rezones at 102 Forest Drive, 101 Hilltop Drive. Above that, I have listed White Hawk Meadows Phase 2. I listed it because they have submitted a preliminary subdivision plan. It will be considered this month by the Planning Commission. It's gone through the SAC process in Greenville County. They've had a neighborhood meeting. They've gone through those items before, and it'll go before the Planning Commission on the 24th. And then Pinestone, we did a walkthrough with them to close out all the residential areas the other day. They have some items on a punch list to finish up. I will note that traffic concerns have been fewer and fewer there since the construction ended. The construction was really causing the majority of problems down through there, and we should see that when we get back to White Hawk, we'll see that improve as they get through the process too. But during the construction process, there's going to be a little bit of a headache as we go through that. And then down at the bottom, items 6 and 7, AM, PM, farms, butchery, and market is filed. They will be in the space beside the farmhouse tacos, so that'll fill back up. I've looked into it. You should look it up. It's pretty cool. They have a farm down in, I think it's in Lawrence County. It's down Fountain Inn Way. So farm fresh, all that kind of stuff. Really cool. And then Mr. Willis' office on Center Street, I had a couple questions about what was going on behind him. So the parking lot is in, and they'll start up with the building there shortly. And I think that that is all I have for the report.
Thank you. Any question regarding the report from committee members? Anyone from council have questions regarding the report before we move on to the rezoning? All right. So moving on to item 4E, TR 25-05, zoning map amendment for 102 Forest Drive. I'd like to make a motion to send TR 25-04 zoning map amendment to City Council for consideration.
Second.
Thank you. All right, a little bit of background about this one. This is 1.56 acre site. This is located, it's a portion of a subdivision property between State Park Road and Poinsett Street. The property is now adjacent to Highway 25. It is currently zoned R75, and it was recommended by staff for approval. Jay, anything to add there?
So the request is for residential duplex, and so, and the number of units that would be there that was noted is a lesser density than would be or could be in R7.5. We did have a meeting that was with the neighbors. Most of the discussion was around traffic. Most of those concerns around traffic did not deal with new traffic being added, but Hilltop being treated as a cut-through. And so we have started exploring how to work with DOT for traffic calming, not only there, but other places in the city. And so we're working through, Ella's looking through some places to get grants because you have to have some traffic studies to support your application. And then on the backside, we'd have to have monies to be able to put in whatever traffic calming devices we use. We thought that it would be beneficial to look at those things regardless of how this rezone goes, because we do have areas in the city where residential streets are being used as cut-throughs, and so we're working through that process and should have more information back to you shortly.
I guess the first question that I have is, can you help me with the insight on staff's recommendation for approval? Yeah, the lower density makes sense, but is it because of the transition between C2 and R75, it being at the end of the neighborhood on both sides?
That's the primary reasoning. If you read in our zoning ordinance, the residential duplex, there's a statement in there that says, hey, here's the intent. The intent of it is that within lower density residential neighborhoods, but you don't want to allow townhomes or multifamily, that residential duplex is an appropriate, and that was the reason it was created. And so that was one of the main reasonings is that our zoning ordinance supports the location of it and going to that zoning designation. The hardest part about it, I think, is a mindset we have in our heads of what a duplex is. And part of what I've reminded people as we went through, and I had to go back and look myself, but on Center Street, actually where Jerry lives, that's 3 duplexes. It's not.
Yes.
It's not all attached homes in a row. And so duplexes can be done very nicely, and the applicant is looking to do a nice product and not what we typically think of when we hear the word duplex.
I think Center Street is a good example because it's, residential and it kind of merges into commercial.
Right.
It makes sense
Yeah.
there. Now, I don't know that we want to do this in the middle of,
Right.
name your neighborhood. but-
We would not support if it was in the middle of a subdivision, because that in its very essence would be spot zoning.
Yeah.
And so anything, and that came up in the conversation, like what could happen at the church property in the middle of this subdivision? Could somebody come in and the answer is no. It's going to be R7.5. The staff wouldn't support any other zoning designation there because anything you chose would be spot zoning. So that, this is very different being on the edges
Yeah.
of the subdivision.
Jay, do we have a count, an estimate of how many per lot yet?
Oh, yeah, so we can talk about, this is what we did at Planning Commission too. We ended up talking about both of them at the same time. The 102 Forest Drive, there would be 6 units, 3 buildings, 6 units. And 101 would be 4 units, 2 buildings.
The applicant calls for upscale duplexes, proposed use. I mean, are we to assume the same tier of the Center Street?
Yes.
Okay.
It might not look the same.
Yeah,
The
yeah, but same,
architecture
like a
might be
higher
different,
end
but yes.
product. Okay. Other questions from the committee regarding 102 Forest Drive?
Either one of these have any inclusion for affordable housing in the plans?
They do not.
That raises a question for me. The neighborhood is not, how you say this, be correct about it, it's not for high-end duplexes.
The older neighborhood.
It's very older. Now, on the end, down there where Forest comes into Poplar, that's a very good fit. But I mean, it's what the market a whole, I suppose, and, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but that brought up a good point, though. That neighborhood is not for, high-end neighborhood.
Neither is our neighborhood, but we saw that house sell.
Well,
Me and Wayne, we were like, woo!
You talk about up at the end of
Almost a
end of my street.
$900,000 house where Wayne and I live, and we were like, we ain't in an upscale neighborhood either, but, yeah.
For the point, since you brought that up,
Good note.
my old neighborhood, Brantley, where you used to come play basketball, the house right up above it, same size as my old house, $386,000.
Crazy.
I am curious on the upscale, is it in materials that maybe we have some guidelines to, I'm just curious what goes into that to ensure that it's a good quality product?
So I will say that the residential duplex zoning, it doesn't function like a flexible review district or a planned development, so there's no dictate or any of that as to materials and that sort of thing within that zoning designation. So in this, because we're going straight zoning, and I fully support straight zoning as much as we can, but there's a lot of trust there that gets put in front of the applicant. And kind of what I've stated along the way is both Jerry and Greg, who owns the ACE, they're local, they live local, and quite honestly, I expect great things from it in supporting it, and that if it didn't meet that standard, I think that would be very bad for someone who lived in Travelers Rest, and then if they tried to do something else, would not be in their favor.
And market-driven.
Yes, it
Okay,
is
got it.
market-driven.
All right, thank
I
you,
have
Jay.
a question just for curiosity's sake. Do you believe you would have approved one without the other?
No, they're one in the same.
Recommended approval.
Yeah, they're one in the same kind of mindset
I
to
feel
me.
like they'll just tie in nicely
Yes.
together.
And I like that component of it as well, that it leads into the neighborhood.
Right.
And, but like I said, most of our conversations revolved around traffic, revolved around can we get sidewalks on Hilltop, and then, which ended up in the conversation of let's SE DOT Street, and the city not in a position to start taking over and maintaining a lot of streets, especially one like that would take a lot of dollars to bring back to city standards and require sidewalks and a lot of easements and that sort of thing.
All right. Anyone else? Questions before the committee votes to send it on? All right, all in favor on the committee for moving it to full council? Okay, thank you. Moving on, item 4F, very similar. TR 25-05 rezoning, zoning map amendment for 101 Hilltop Drive. I'd like to make a motion to send TR 25-05 zoning map amendment to council for consideration. This is the same request to change to RD. Is that correct, Jay?
Second.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, we'll open this one up. Jay, same story. You want to come
Same
back
thing.
up, or are we just going to rinse and
The
repeat?
same thing. Just one side.
Any additional questions from committee? Any additional questions from council? It's literally the same.
Yep. It is.
All right, if we're ready to make a vote, we'll vote it on to full council. All those in favor on the committee to move it to full council? Thank you. All right. Anyone on committee have general questions before we close it down? Anyone on council? All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. And formal apologies to Carson, who told me about the change in the meeting verbally and wrote it down for me to say out loud, and I still messed it up. So you handled business. I think we're all good, but thank you for that,
I'm good
Carson. All right, Ways and Means Committee, Chair Baumgartner.
I call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Myself, Brantley Vest, Lisa Lane, Wayne McCall are here. Kelly Byers is absent. I would entertain a motion to approve the June 19 Ways and Means minutes.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Anybody have any additions or comments that need to be made? All right, we will send those on. That's all we have before Ways and Means Committee. Just a note that the financials will be out the first of next week. Year-end closeout is coming in the next 45 to 60 days or so. If questions come up about any of that, please contact myself or our city administrator. And that's all I have before the committee. Any other comments? I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you, Grant. All right, Committee of the Whole, we have ordinance for property transfer of summary court to Greenville County, and this is me. So I make a motion for property transfer of summary court to Greenville County ordinance to move the full property transfer to full council. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, second, let me give you a little summary that our city staff put together for us. So as many of you know, back in December, Greenville County approved the transfer of two important public assets, Trailblazer Park and Gateway Park, to the city of Travelers Rest. This was a significant step, and we're grateful for the county's partnership in making this happen. While finalizing the property transfer paperwork, it came to light that the existing parcel line for county summary court building, something that's been in place for probably over a decade, actually runs along the wall of the court facility. To meet the legally required building setback standards, a small adjustment is needed. Specifically, the city will need to transfer a small portion of the currently city-owned property to the county. This will ensure the court facility complies with mandated setbacks and cleans up the boundary lines. It's also important to note that as part of this process, the county will retain ownership of the parking lot used by the summary court. However, they've committed to allowing shared public use of ingress, egress, and parking areas as illustrated in the parcel diagram provided to council. So basically, it's simple housekeeping. Shannon's done a great job of kind of getting all the details and putting everything into place, and so this supports the court's operations, the city's continued access to the shared space for parking lot for overflow. Any further comments or anything to note on that, Shannon?
Mayor Ramadan, I think you did a great job laying that out, but happy to answer any questions.
You wrote it for me, I assume, so you did a great job.
You did a beautiful job.
You nailed it, Shannon. All right, any further questions?
Will this require 2 readings or 1 reading?
Councilmember Baumgartner, it does require 2 readings. Any transfer of property, which this is in effect a transfer of property from the city's current register to the county's, is required a 2-reading ordinance.
So are both of those readings then tonight, or one of them will be tonight and then one will be next month?
Great question. Because tonight we back directly into the county, to the city council meeting, they will have first reading tonight, which is noted on your agenda for committee, that everything rolls directly to the floor tonight.
And then I
first reading.
assume when we transfer, it just comes right back to us. So it's just coming as a whole piece back when we transfer Trailblazer Park, or like it says county, that whole municipal building stays with county?
I might not be understanding the question.
Oh, I'm sorry, when we take over the rest of the park, will that include the municipal building or no?
So we will execute all this paperwork at the same time. So basically, your ordinance authorizes us to do this, and then you and I will execute the paperwork at the same time that we do all the property transfers. It'll just all at one time go to the proper parcel numbers.
And the property transfer, would that include the court building and property?
Well, no, because the court building and the parking lot currently belong to the county.
And it will stay there?
And it will
Okay,
stay
got it.
there.
Okay, great, sorry. I was just making sure I had that.
So in effect, on your document, you'll see the dotted line. That's the current property line, and you'll see a small, and it only runs on the left half side of the diagram here, a small solid line, and that's the small piece of property you'll see. It's like 3 parking spots over.
Okay.
That's what's going to the county from the
Great.
city's portfolio. Then when we execute all the rest of the paperwork, all the rest of the property comes to the city from the county.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, any other questions? Okay, so this is committee of the whole, so all in favor? Motion carries. Are you good, Lisa?
Oh, I'm in.
Okay, all
I
right, just
forgot.
checking. Okay, all right, thanks. Unanimous. All right.
I am voting against that, by the
Okay.
way.
1 nay from Grant Baumgartner. Thank you, Grant. All right, okay, let me get back. Okay, old business, we have none. New business, we have none. Miscellaneous matters, do we have an administrative update?
Tell you what, I'll give you my administrative update now, and then we won't do it again at the
Okay,
next
sure,
meeting,
yeah.
if that works for
Yeah.
you. So just wanted to let you know, we did receive bids back per the RFP for our capital lease, and Bank of TR was the best bid on that. We are looking forward to bringing to you next month an animal foster care agreement and update to our ordinance, which would allow us a little more flexibility with the animals that are brought in through animal control and codes enforcement. And I want to give an incredible amount of accolades to Sergeant Rob Lewis, who has helped us work on this, and we have a new part-time employee up front who's worked on this as well. But we've met with Greenville County Animal Care. We've been fleshing out with our attorney what the liabilities are and what the opportunities are for just better care for the animals that come into our care. So looking forward to doing that. Wanted to let you know that I'm excited. Philip and Chief McMakin have been working together, and we are going to be hosting the EOC ISC interface class here at our fire training center. And that's just how incident command works. But area responders from around the county will come and participate in that class with us. So very excited to them. Our new sidewalk is complete at Hawk Valley. So that was our sidewalk project for the year, and we're glad to have that. We have made use of our in-house landscape architect, and we have a planting plan that will be in place very shortly here for the State Park Road parcel, where one of our rabbits currently sits in front of Upcountry Provisions, as well as the southbound welcome to TR sign on 25. So coming from the mountains, your first sign that you come in. We were able to handle that with what was left in the downtown beautification budget. And then finally, very excited to host Zip Trips here tomorrow morning. Beth has worked incredibly hard to put together a full slate of all about TR. So we will start at 4 in the morning. Anyone wants to join us? I think Mayor's on at 5. And then we'll run all the way through about 10 a.m. because we'll have the morning show. Megan Heidelberg and her show's coming on from 9 to 10. And it's all hosted live here at the Pavilion. So.
Thank you, Shannon. Just want to say again, I know Lisa's already mentioned it, but the drone show was just so impressive. I usually hear some complaints about some, and I didn't hear one complaint.
Not one.
I think people just were so impressed, and we set the bar really high, and I know everybody worked on it, but Beth, she just took that idea and ran with it, so I very much appreciate her and also handling tomorrow. So does anyone on council have anything for the good of council for committee?
Well, I will second that motion on the drone show. Here for a part of all that, but yes, I was here for the entire thing and didn't hear.
You also win the award for best ice cream for the night too, so thanks for supplying city staff and council with ice cream. You guys did a great job.
I did have a question about the animal care. Are we responsible, or do we get calls from within the city about stray dogs, and do they call who? Like, do we have a specific number for that?
I can let Chief speak to that, but yes.
Because there is an issue with some stray dogs.
We have people pick dogs and, outside the city and drop them off here. Yes, all the time. And we have to try to explain that, but we don't want to be,
It's a thin line, yep.
right, because we try to return as many to the owners as we can, obviously. But yeah, we have that happen a lot. They'll just show up in our lobby with an animal and, we'll take custody and try to figure out the owner. Hopefully it has a chip or something, so.
So if you live in the city and you know that, who are they calling about stray dogs?
So if it comes into our dispatch, we send it to Sergeant Lewis, who is handling the code or the animal control.
Dispatch as in call 911 or the non-emergency number?
The non-emergency line.
Do we have that online for people
is.
to know that? Okay.
It is, yes.
And I say that because there's been some issues with dogs not getting picked up that are roaming, that keep being seen around areas. Like, are our officers going to check that out?
Yes.
Okay.
So if they're not getting picked up, either we're not finding them.
They're
or-
moving, yep.
Or we pick them up and they get out again, which we usually address that with the owners.
Okay.
And we've had to with several owners address that.
Can people report it through the app as well?
I believe so, yes.
That's helpful.
And
Would
you
be
have,
ideal.
you have a chip scanner?
We do. We have chip scanners.
Smart.
But just a reminder that the app is monitored during the day, the work hours.
I
so.
see. Okay. What about bears?
We are not equipped to handle bears.
You say shoo, sheer, and you
Although-
walk away.
Although Sergeant Lewis would love to have training for that, I don't want him to get training for that.
Okay.
Good question, though.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
We call DNR if there's an issue with bears, and then
Okay.
they get here when they get here. So. I love DNR.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, and just as an item to note, so our agenda items that are approved at this committee meeting, they'll roll forward immediately. We're going to have our 6 o'clock July 10th council meeting, so we'll have a few-minute break, and then the meetings for tonight will be approved in August, right? Okay, great. And then Carson has been kind enough to supply council with some pizza in the back if you need a little snack. If someone in the audience is famished, let me know, and I will bring you a slice. Back, but we very much appreciate you being here again. For some of our visitors, we had our 5 o'clock committee meeting, and then we'll have 6 o'clock kind of squishing those two meetings together. And so our committee meetings are more of the conversational meetings, and then the one that we'll have at 6 is more of the formal yay and nay, but we hope you will stick around for that as well. So I will recess us for 13 minutes, and we'll come back at 6. Thank you. well, thanks for everyone for sticking around and hanging with us tonight. I officially call to order the City of Travelers Rest City Council meeting for Thursday, July 10th. Again, we had our committee meeting earlier. Now we have our formal council meeting. And so we, again, appreciate all of our guests for being here. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will ask Councilmember Mara to please pray for council.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time for us to join and meet. I pray for specifically our police and fire as they protect our city. Be with those in our area and help us tonight to be helpful. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. All right, so to kind of kick us off, if you don't mind, can we do the proclamation at the end? Just in case I get a little teary-eyed, if that's okay. So we'll move that to the end. So approval of our minutes from our previous meeting. Do I hear a motion for regular council meeting minutes for June the 18th?
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any edits or conversational notes? Okay, all in favor? All right, motion carries unanimous. Thanks for that. Citizen participation, we have none. Ordinances and resolutions for second reading, we have none. For those that are here, as we mentioned, you have first reading. Second reading gives us some time to kind of ask questions and come back. I guess the majority of the things we do require 2 readings, especially for transfer of property. We have committee reports. So we just had our committee meeting. So Carson, I assume you didn't go take time to write up all those meeting minutes yet. And so we'll do that for July and August updates at the August council meeting. Okay, now we will move into ordinances and resolutions for first reading. So I have this one. Hold on 1 second. Get it together. So I have a motion for ordinance to transfer summary court property to Greenville County as discussed in our committee meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. Was that you, Sherry? Okay, second by Sherry. Any further conversation, questions for Shannon regarding the transfer of property? Okay, all in favor? Motion carries. 1 nay. Thank you for that. Grant Baumgardner, nay. All right, now we will move into our rezoning, and Brantley, I'll let you have that one.
All right. I would like to make a motion, TR-25-04, to rezone 102 Forest Drive from R75 to RD.
You've heard that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further questions? We still have Jay here. Make him stand up again.
This rezoning also will take 2 readings, correct?
Correct.
All right, all in favor? Okay, motion carries there. 7C.
All right, I'd like to make a motion for TR-25-05 to rezone 101 Hilltop Drive from R75 to RD.
Okay, you've heard that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Shanice. These kind of go hand in hand based on our conversation earlier, but does anyone have any questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay, old business, we have none. New business. For those, I mean, we've had a council meeting in, 8 minutes before, so just know, like, this is not completely crazy, but we definitely had our business earlier. Shannon, did you have any additional administrative updates? Okay, great. All right, now we'll move into the fun part of tonight's meeting. And so it's Brantley Best last night. They have decided to leave us for the big conglomerate of Green Valley. I don't know what we would call that. And so we're super excited for you guys. We're also sad, but appreciate your lovely wife and kids to be here. We have a proclamation for you, and I have a few gifts. Don't let me forget to give them in the bag. It's not money or anything. Don't get too excited. But you definitely have a council and a staff that very much appreciate you, and so we got a little fun stuff for you. But let me set up this proclamation. It's a little poem that I wrote for you, which don't get scared. So I have to give you guys a little backstory. So we were in executive session, and Kelly and I chatted about this a little bit, and it was a little it was a little dramatic, and so we were having a conversation with someone, and Brantley turned into like a young Matlock or Perry Mason, and he had on a suit, and he's like, "Would you agree?" and got all serious. And I was like, whoa, Brantley's like bringing out the big stuff. So this proclamation is a would you agree? And so we're gonna have this for you tonight. But so whereas Brantley Vest has served the city of Travelers Rest as a council member for 7 years since coming into office in 2018, Brantley has led the Planning and Development Committee through a time of exciting growth. He has also served on the Public Safety and Ways and Means Committee. Here's part of the exciting part. Would you agree, community of Travelers Rest, that through his calm, thoughtful, and steady presence, Brantley has lived by example for his hometown in a way that embodies all that is TR, faith, family, and community? Would you agree, Travelers Rest High School alums, that if we ever need a prime example of what it means to be a devil dog, we call Brantley? Would you agree, Mayor, that Brantley has been a partner in hard decisions and been an irreplaceable wingman through the ups and downs of serving your hometown together? Would you agree, Margie, Logan, and girls, that your son, your hubby, and your dad has served as a role model in all his many roles these past years to the best of his ability and has made you all proud? Would you agree, City Council and city staff of Travelers Rest, that Brantley Vest has been an asset to this team and his dedication to our city duties, and that we will truly miss him from this day forward? Now, therefore, I, Brandy Amadon, Mayor of the City of Travelers Rest, on behalf of Travelers Rest City Council, do hereby agree with and proclaim Thursday, July 10th, 2025, as Brantley Vest Day in the City of Travelers Rest.
Here, here.
Y'all about to wear me out the other day.
Oh, I tried to steal this in high school. Very cool, thank you. I knew the sign maker would come in.
Those are awesome.
Why don't we all
Good
get a
job.
picture maybe of Brantley up front? Would that be good?
Yes.
I do want to add, I really did try to steal this in high school. The person that lived on the corner chased me down. And so me and 3 of my friends ran about a quarter of a mile off Main Street, jumped in the back of the car, sped off. We didn't get the sign, it was concrete.
You know everybody knows who you are, though,
We didn't get it. We didn't get it. We shook it.
This opportunity.
Well, let's get us some pictures, and then if we have some more comments from council, we can do that. You guys coming? Let's all come. Yeah, yeah. Let's get a picture.
She wants
And Kelly was very upset that she was not here.
Oh, yeah.
They will, won't they? They do match well.
Adorable.
Yeah, sit there. But yeah, I will definitely, Brantley, you know I'm going to miss you. And I tried to discourage you from leaving. And Logan, I'm sorry. I was like, you guys want to stay here forever. But we appreciate you. And did you even have a kid when you started
No
council?
kids. No. We were
Yeah,
a year and a half or so.
I thought
after we
so.
started.
That's crazy. Grant, I know you had some words. Did you want to share for
I
Brantley?
do. First thing I want to say is I would agree completely. I would agree with all that. And I shared this with you earlier, but I'm going to say it out loud now that one of my best memories of you is sitting there with your first because you couldn't find anybody else. And she was so good. She was so good sitting on his lap as we were up here conducting business. And I absolutely love that memory. But I did want to say with our move of unusual meeting tonight, regrettably, I wasn't here on time, so I'm sorry about that. But I do want to share some thoughts. I have greatly enjoyed our time on council. Even though we didn't always agree with each other, We were always able to listen with the other perspective with respect. And for the record, I never once held it against you that you were wrong. The growth in your leadership on the Planning and Development Committee has been exceptional, as you assisted in guiding the city through several difficult and complicated development and growth projects. Sometimes those projects were met with obstacles which you always were able to find a way to navigate through and to help us navigate through. That leadership will be missed. Thank you for your strong role on council and for always being there when I needed a second for my motions. And in your honor, it's my humble request that tonight, when we finish up, that you make a motion for adjournment at this, your final council meeting.
That is, okay.
All right.
That's pretty stout right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. In my
Big shoes.
20-something years, there's only been 2 people that ever do that. Louis Lockerbie and him.
Grant.
So that's the first.
Yeah. Does anyone in council have any other comments?
I
thoughts?
do. Brantley, I remember when you were running for council, both times at the beginning, and we were at some place on Main Street, and I'm like, why are you running again? And so we had that conversation, and from then I could see you were very authentic, down to earth, and you have been consistently that way throughout the time on council. So I really appreciate that. When Brandy said you're steady in the proclamation, I had written that too, so we all agree. And you can really tell that you care about your hometown. I think you're strategic and visionary of how to navigate complex issues, so I appreciate that. I think you're an amazing girl dad, and that's awesome. And that you're honest, and I think that is a very wonderful trait. So I wish you and your family all the best and many blessings. You're welcome.
Brantley, I just wanted to say, I don't have anything written down, but I just wanted to say, as a newcomer on council, you have been above and beyond an example and a guidance in your kindness, and kind of the same concept, your ability to be calm, but to step it up a notch when needed. And I think that's been a good example for all of us. And so I appreciate your time with family and children and moving. I know that's a lot, but you will be beyond greatly missed.
Brantley, I remember meeting you 8 years ago, 8 years ago when you ran for city council at Meet the Candidates, and you had that leadership ability at that time, and I knew you'd be great on city council and voted for you then, and so glad that you have served this community for the years that you have, and thank you for your leadership, and it's, you're gonna be hard to replace.
Brantley, I just want to say thank you so much again for welcoming a newcomer to council, as I'm the newest. And you just have a lovely, easygoing presence, but you can get serious when you need to. And that's a form of leadership. And you put people at ease. You are thoughtful in your remarks. And that is, that makes a new person feel like we've got this, even though it's hard. And so I appreciate that about you, and I appreciate your leadership.
Did you say glowing? Did you use the term glowing? I think glowing, that's pretty good. I'm gonna take you back a little bit. I can actually remember the time 20 years ago, about 18 years ago. I can still see that old green van coming in, wheeling in the driveway. His mom, Margie, Bentley grew up with my children, and they'd come over to our old house, and we had a nice little basketball court out there, and I still thought I could ball a little bit, which I could, I guess, some. But Brantley, he would come out there, and he would always be, he was the biggest kid. He was the biggest kid that was there, and so I would always wind up having to play him or vice versa. But he, you know, Brantley was always fair. I remember it always being fair about everything. Was that really out of bounds, or was it not out of bounds, or was that a foul or not a foul? At our house back then, if there wasn't any blood, it wasn't a foul. And, but I can remember that. I can remember church ball, and to see him grow up, you know, to the man he is today. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Done good, man.
Brantley, you got any final words for us?
Gosh, no. I'm gonna miss it. I mean, it was really a great experience, and it was that because of you all. So, and staff. It's been fun to watch the city grow and change and morph into what it's become. And I mean, when we were in high school, we had Grounds for Faith. What is it like? In a red light?
Yeah.
That was it. So it's been a lot of fun. I've been really honored to do it. So, thank you all.
Do you guys have any comments?
Here.
Girls, you want to tell us?
Some stories.
Now is your time.
There it is.
No. No.
How many events has your dad dragged you to over the years? Right? You guys have contributed, Logan. Anyone on council knows how important a spouse is to running for office and being in office, and so thank you. I'm sure Brantley's never complained to you about anything that's happened, or, you know, but we really do appreciate you supporting him in this, so. All right, Brantley, you want to see us out?
All right, do I do it? I'm gonna do it.
Do
right,
it.
I hope. Motion to adjourn?
We have a second? Lisa?
Do we need a second?
Yeah, Lisa's our second. All in favor? All right, Brantley, thank you so much. Yeah.